Hello everyone. So today we are going to discuss one new topic, that is big data system. And the various topics that we are going to discuss today are, first of all, we will discuss about data and information, then the introduction and some of the example of big data, and in the third slide we will discuss about sources of big data. In the fourth part, there are certain uses of big data. We will discuss about those uses, then about characteristics of big data, and in the last we will have some MCQs related to the same topic. So let's move to our first slide. First of all, we must know that what is data. Basically, data is a raw fact or figure, or we can say that very basic thing is called as data. It can be anything, like it can be text, it can be number, character, audio, video, or images. All these can be taken under the data until or unless it is a kind of very important information. We can call them data. So it is the raw fact or figure. It can be structured also, or sometimes it can be very unstructured also. So when in case if the data is converted into very important valuable information which is very structured and organized, then it is called as information. Information is very useful and data is not at all useful in this case. So let's move to our next slide. It is about introduction of big data. So what is big data? Where do we use the big data? Big data is the data which is very large in size, we can say. If we are having large amount of data, it means that it is called as big data. And in that case, we can say that it will be increasing day by day over the time. So, as the name suggests, big data means that the huge data, large data. So, the big data, we work on megabytes or gigabytes, but sometimes it can be in the size of terabytes or petabytes also. So, it can have the different sizes, but it will have the collection of data. So in the third point, big data is in different formats. It means that it can be like unstructured also, but it will be increasing over time according to the application and according to the requirement of the client. So it is the basic introduction about big data. So let's move to our next slide. I have taken one simple example over here to make you clear that what exactly is big data. Like in the image, we can easily see that there are some of the social media links, messages, YouTube. Just want to tell you that these all are the links, or we can say that applications where we are having huge amount of data, like Facebook. If we talk about Facebook's database, then we can easily say that it has like more than 500 terabytes of information it is processing every day. So most of the weight is due to the photos and videos and the messages by the different clients. So if we are having data in terabytes, then we can say that that database is the big data. So it is one of the example. So in the next slide, let's discuss about sources of big data. There are different sources, like we have already discussed the Facebook database. So database is one of the major source of big data. Then we can include the legacy documents over here also, like if in case there are several documents of several persons or laws, according to the laws we are having, it will have the huge amount of data. Then if we talk about media also, in media we are having collection of data about the various movies, audios, videos, then it is also a kind of big data. Then the fourth point, like cloud. Cloud computing is very vast nowadays. Then it is also a kind of big data where we are having like connection or network of many servers which are having individually large set of database. Then about the web, like on internet also, on web also we are having large amount of data. Then we have discussion about internet of things, like nowadays we are having internet of things, IoT, means that everything is working on sensors, and we need to have some code, some data for working or processing of those things. Then about social network profiles also, like Facebook and Twitter, everybody is creating their account on the Facebook and Twitter, so its database is getting large and large. It need to save the data of large number of persons. Then about the social influencer also. Now what is social influencer? It is a form of social media marketing involving like endorsements, product placement from influencers. So we can say that there are some people or like organizations who have expert level of knowledge, you can say, and they are having so much information, they can easily influence the people through social marketing in their field. So they are basically called as social influencers. They just sell their products on social media but by just influencing the people and just advertising about them. So next is the activity generated data, like document based, text based data also we are having. Then about the data warehouse appliances. Now what is data warehouse appliance? It is also a collection of data. It is the architecture for big data analysis, or we can say discovery, that is very simple to use, and like it provide the high performance for the workload if we are having large amount of workload. Then the last is network and the in-stream monitoring technology. If we are having networking and the collection of data and we need to monitor each and everything, then again we are working with the big data. So these are the different sources of big data provided. So let's move to the next slide. The different uses of big data. Actually, we can't mention every point over here, but I have taken some important points of use of big data. Like in healthcare sector, we need to save the information of millions of patients and the treatment that has done to them. Everything need to be recorded. So big data again. Then second is banking. In banking sector also, now the collection of data is so much large. Everything is monitored and controlled by the computer itself. Then again we are talking about the database over here. They need to monitor their financial activities, their loans, their cash flow, and the information about the customer also. Then again the database is getting too much large. So next, politics also, like nowadays e-balloting is working over here, like e-voting. So again we are having large number of data. Means that huge collection of data is provided. In politics also we are using big data. So let's move to our next slide. Retail. Now in business activities also, like we have already discussed, everything is being recorded, and the need of the customer has to be like analyzed, which is always done by storing the data of the product, by customers feedback, etc. Then again we are talking about as big data. Then education. In education, nothing to explain, it is very vast. Everything is online nowadays. Both teachers and students, they are working online. So everything has been recorded. Everything need to be written. So various documents, various text documents, Word documents, PPTs need to be made by teachers. And again it is big data. The uses of big data in education as following. I have taken some important points, like enhanced grading system is done through it. Then the teachers or counselors are providing guidance to the students. Then again new learning plans, and obviously in the last the result of the students are getting improved, and simultaneously the dropouts are getting reduced. So these are the uses of big data. So next we are having discussion on characteristics of big data. Like it is based upon 5V. The first is volume, then about variety, value, velocity and veracity. And we will discuss about these characteristics one by one. So let's move to our next slide. So first we are discussing about volume. Volume means that size of data. So according to the requirement of the client, we must have capacity to control the large amount of data according to our website or social networking or any business activity. So it can be stored in the form of petabytes, exabytes or even more. So this is about the volume. So next is about variety. Variety means that source and nature of data. It means that from where we are getting the data, or whether it is structured or semi-structured or unorganized, all these things are really matter, because sometimes the data is in the form of like photos, videos, text. So all of these things must be very arranged and organized. Then third point is value. Value means that the data must be very valuable. It must not be like very irrelevant. It must be very reliable data or trustworthy data on which the company or the client can be relied upon. So it must be very correct information. Then about the velocity. Velocity means that how much, like what is the measurement of speed, whether we are getting the data as per our requirement on time or not. So according to the demand or the requirement of the client, data must be provided to the client very faster. So the data flow must be very fast and continuous also. So this is about the velocity. The next is veracity. It means that to controlling the quality and the accuracy of the data is very important. The data must be very accurate and the quality must has to be very maintained and controlled. There must not be any kind of inconsistency or uncertainty in the data provided by the big data or the collection of data. So this is the last point about characteristics of big data. So let's move to MCQs. So the first question is, what does velocity in big data means? So what is the correct answer for this particular question? The option number 4, that is speed of storing and processing of data. Velocity simply means that the speed. It means that the data must reach the required person on time. So let's move to our next question. Which of the following are the examples of real-time big data processing? So the different options are given below. So what is the correct answer? Option number 4 is the correct answer. Like banking sector and health sector are using big data processing. So this was all about introductory section on big data. Thank you so much.